My gorgeous Pisces, welcome to your psychic tarot reading for June 2025. Um, this is going to be for Pisces Sun, Moon, or Rising. As always, many of you are intuitively guided. That is your spiritual team. I read through my spirit guides who connect to your guides. So really, like collectively. Um, so always feel free to ask your guides to send you signs of confirmation with the inner reading. Like you should feel it. It really is a soul to soul reading. I want to reach your very soul. So anyways, this can certainly be for those who are in love with the Pisces. Sam's son is a Pisces on February 26th. Um, Boy, all of a sudden I feel like I'm forgetting someone. Hmm, I don't think so. But anyway, so many of you know Justin. He's the one who started that line of coloring books. Um, but if you are here due to another, know that your guides know that. Matter of fact, I just did a podcast that talked about, well, what it did is it broke down our sun, what our sun sign represents, our moon sign, and our rising. And one of the things I said in there is, definitely know your moon sign, because that is the inner you. But if you are, let's say, I want to know what my Pisces is up to, also check out their moon. It may give you deeper understanding. But anyways, so I just say welcome. I'm so happy you're here. Pisces for June. I feel like for those in a relationship, you may find it strained here and there, but a lot of that might be Mercury in retrograde. So this is a time just to, think about what you're going to say before you say it. Um, and, be careful that if someone says something to you, that they really mean it, because I feel like my feelings could get hurt easily, but that was not the intention. Now for those who are single, I just have a feeling that there's going to be friends or acquaintances. Someone's going to know someone that may introduce you. I feel like this is a month where your adrenaline wants to come to the forefront. So adventure, taking chances, even in love, um, your money, it feels pretty good. But the only thing I want to say with the money is I feel like your creativity feels very, very, very good. Um, and I feel money will definitely be part of that. But just be careful that you're not overspending. I don't know why I'm picking that up, but you might have a tendency to spend more than you can really afford. So maybe just double think a purchase. If you can afford it, go ahead. But um, yeah, nothing major. Just that, you know, don't waste your money on what you well, let's just put it this way. You'll already know because you'll wrestle with the idea. Should I or shouldn't I? If you wrestle with that idea, I would hold off. I'm not telling you don't ultimately make a purchase, but there may be a time period. I feel as we get closer to the full moon, there may be a time like after the full moon to make, let's say it's a big purchase. Let's say Mercury goes direct also. Now, if you do make a big purchase with Mercury in retrograde, be like your opposite sign, like the psychic detective. That's what I call Virgo, who is your opposite sign. But you're so intuitive yourself. So read contracts, read the fine print. If you don't understand, don't read it, or has someone, like an attorney or what have you, read it. But definitely read small print. But other than that, I really feel this is going to be a good month for you. Um, just be awakened to the idea that, this may be a month where I just want to think about what I'm going to say, but also be open, which is completely up to you. But again, I feel like someone who knows someone is going to introduce you. And the next thing you know, Pisces and this person form a relationship. That's the way I feel it for some of you. Like, that's the way it's going down. It's already done. It's already done. That's what I'm hearing. It's already done. It's like your guide just saying plans are already in motion. So let's go ahead and get into your reading. I'm going to bring the lid down a little bit. There we go. We're going to use the major arcanas for our bullet points. We will give Mother Mary the honor of opening up our reading with her beautiful words of wisdom. We're going to use the Gilded Tarot to clarify and go deeper. And for your main spread, a deck, I feel like this deck was made for Pisces. It's the Psychic Tarot. And I didn't pull it just because I feel like it's made for Pisces. It called to me, and that's how I let a reading really happen. Like, I let my intuition decide what decks. Sometimes I'll have another, like I did. I had another deck in mind, but the Psychic Tarot kept calling your name, so that's what we're going to use. Boy, there was something else I wanted to say, but I don't remember. All right, well, if it comes up, it comes up. All right, so let's open this up. Oh, I know I was going to tell you. Um, when I do your readings, the way my guides allow me to read, let's say, is it's like a movie. It is Pisces movie. It is your movie. It's like a good book. And the story unveils itself to me and to us. And that's why sometimes a reading is long. It's not sometimes, it is the reason why a reading is long because it needs to unveil itself. And, you have to give it time to get to that silver lining, which we always find that silver lining. But just if you're new, that's one of the reasons why my readings are longer. I still have people coming on my channel like your readings are way too long. I don't let it bother me anymore. I really let very little bother me anymore. And I'm just me. You know what I mean? And I let my guides, I'm an open vessel for our spirit guides of the light. So, again, I want to say it's already done. What am I talking about? What is already done? Something is already in the works. All right, we have inner child. Nothing more beautiful than Pisces, really all water signs, inner child. I love your inner child. I nurture the child within me through playfulness and self care. That's another thing I forgot to mention for June. I would say June, you may be figuring out how to control your stress levels like never before. And that may represent like the letting go, the not worrying about the things you cannot control. So, inner child, we have self respect. I honor and love myself through my healthful actions. And then prayer. Prayer. Well, this is exactly what I just said. Instead of worrying, I pray about this situation to bring about real solutions. So your inner child feels perfect because this feels like a time when you should be having fun. You should be playing. I do feel like it's going to be romantic in different ways, but I do feel that like, oh, like, oh, butterflies, that type of thing. Um, and then I get this sense also of nature this month, especially water, will really be good for you. Like being around water, and it doesn't have to mean the ocean. Let's say you're not anywhere near water, but you have a bathtub. You may want to take some nice long um, baths because I feel like water and you in June just feels good. Just feels good. All right, let's put Mother Mary up here. I want to cover up the roses Sam brought in the other day for me. Yeah, I was definitely blessed that him and I got back together. And I know that, but I also know that it was something completely unexpected. So when I see that or feel that in a reading, even if you can't feel it yet, I know what it's talking about. All right, so let's bring in the major arcanas. Well, hello, Fool. Hello, new beginning. Hello, adventure. Hello, adrenaline rush. What are you going to be doing? Like you're off to a new adventure. And the Fool's energy is perfect because this is putting the past in the past. The Fool has extracted the wisdom of the past experiences, but this is, that willingness to take a leap of faith on maybe something new that, it's starting at the Fool. But remember that this is your book, this is your life. You are the writer of it. So when you start at the Fool's energy, which is really kind of free and clear, then all is possible. I don't know. I feel excited about the Fool. Something about this month for you is already making me feel like excited. We have the Hermit. Interesting, because I just spoke about your opposite sign, and that would be Virgo. The Hermit, we're in the year of the Hermit. This really is that final push of the last year of a 9-year cycle, and then the opening up of a brand new cycle. And I know I keep hammering that home, but I feel it's so important we understand that. Like there are chapters now meant to end. I don't see any resistance here though. And the hermit really represents your spirituality. And this hermit feels, you always see the hermit going into the cave, which means the hermit's going through something very heavy. But really, what the hermit finds in this darkness is the light within oneself, the savior within oneself. So much so that I often feel like then I want to talk about it. I want to spread, I want to spread that awareness, like how I found it, how I found the light. Interesting. The hermit's lantern illuminates any snakes in the grass. Um, this is when you are very spiritually inclined. It doesn't have to mean like you've had a spiritual awakening, but probably a lot of you are on that process. And that does take time. But you do need to go through the Hermit's energy. That's exactly what you did. All right, we have the devil. Interesting how the lantern is illuminating the devil. So the devil talks about illusions, temptation, um, but the hermit's illuminating that. It is the card of Capricorn. For some of you, it's just literally a Capricorn. Let's take one. Well, let's see. I was going to say one more, but I know better than dictating how many cards should come out. Some of you, I feel like you're free. Like there's a sense of feeling free. Um, Maybe it's from a prior temptation. Maybe it's from things that, made you feel stuck. But now, it's like now you see. Like, what's that saying? Once I was blind, but now I see. I don't know if that's a saying. One of the reasons why I have a hard time finding words when I'm doing a reading is I kind of shut my mind down and let my intuition um, be open. So when I call on my brain, it's like, well, wait a minute, you just shut me down. All right, anything else want to come out? Give it a couple more. There we go. We have justice. I'm going to slide these over. Card of Libra. It's really about balance. And then, hello, the magician. Perfect. So we have the Hermit, which represents 2025. We have the Magician, which will represent 2026. And I love that the Magician is mirroring the Fool, because in the Tarot, you always start at the Fool. Well, I mean, if you're learning Tarot, because it is about the Fool's journey. And the first person the Fool meets along the way, along the road, is a magician. Now, it's kind of energetic, though it can be an actual person who is just helping you on your way. The magician reminds the Fool that you really possess all the tools you need to truly be successful on this next adventure. Justice coming right before that. There could have been some ties that just needed to be cut. Remember, the Fool is about a new beginning. So, justice feels like what was. But I love that the sword is right next to the devil. So I feel like if anything, it's cutting out of illusions. It's some of this may be more like on a thought base where I thought I was stuck, but now I am free. Now I am free. It just feels like lower vibrational energy would have a very hard time persuading you to follow it. I feel quite the opposite. Like, if you want to follow me, then you need to be of a certain vibration. You need to match my vibration. Doesn't mean we need to be exactly alike, but ultimate goals, morals, that I feel like has to be pretty similar. But anyways, I love that the magician is mirroring the Fool. So your greatest mentor telling you like you can truly be successful. Carry your spirituality as a badge of honor. because you deserve that. All right, let's bring in the Psychic Tarot and see why this deck just had to be the one to do your reading. I'm going to give it one more shuffle. And as many of you know, I do pre-shuffle all the decks before we begin. That's kind of where I'm picking up the messages that may go beyond the cards. All right. Let me just get a drink. I'm sitting on my foot. My foot just went numb. Well, that took no time at all. Well, guess who the second mentor along the foal's journey is? The High Priestess. Your intuition. What the High Priestess teaches the foal, or reminds the foal of, is that I am your GPS in this lifetime. I will guide you. You know, that's why when you see the Eight of Swords, which is a self-created prison, that means someone's not trusting in their intuition. You know, you're second guessing it. And I don't want to bring anything negative here because I'm not feeling that. But I do love that the foal's first two mentors, who I feel like are the greatest mentors, have already shown. You know, when you think of your intuition, think of it like if you were going to a new city and you know you don't know the road, you don't know the area, but you have to be at a certain place. What would you do? You'd put the address in your GPS and it would guide you right to it. That's what your intuition does. We have, look at this, the fool. We have two fools. New beginning, a new beginning. We have interesting patience, which is temperance. It's called patience in this deck because that really is temperance's first message. It's patience, my child. Patience. But this is about trusting in divine timing. You know, when temperance shows up, you really don't have to control a situation. It means it's going to happen divinely. It's just going to happen. But it's happening in the right time, and that you can count on. So it's interesting. We have two fools. We have divine timing. Card of Sagittarius also, by the way. And then beautiful, the Seven of Pentacles. Patience again. Look at that. Patience again. So some of you, you've been waiting to jump into this fool's energy. You know, the only thing I don't like about this Seven of Pentacles is it doesn't really show you like what I'd like to show you. And what I mean by that is the Seven of Pentacles to me is like your tree of life. And you usually see a tree that's full of pentacles, you know, and I relate it to like an apple tree. You know, some apples become ripe. Well, that's the apple I'm going to pick, right? I'm not going to try to pick an apple before it's ripe. It'll just be bitter. And that's what the patience is about. Letting something come to fruition. Seven of Pentacles, I feel also when it's in a reading, it's a reminder that anything that you've been through, or let's just say at least the last chapter, was probably meant to happen, probably taught you something. You may not know immediately, but the day will come, you'll be like, ah, I get it. I'm telling you, the day will come. 2014. 2014. Interesting. I'm not saying it's 2014, but some of you may relate to the year 2014. It's the year I lost my brother. I didn't lose him. It's the year he crossed over. All right. So we know some of these, some of these seeds are coming to fruition. Otherwise, we wouldn't have the Fool here. We have sacrifice, card of Leo. That could certainly talk about the devil's energy and justice. You know, maybe something was sacrificed, or maybe it felt like a sacrifice. Um, but maybe it needed to be. All right, we have partnerships and alliances under your intuition. Mental conflict under new beginnings. Interesting, as 2 and 3 is a 5. It is about change when you see a 5. So some type of change that's opening up a new beginning that's really divinely guided anyway, or let's just say part of your tree of life. You know, it's probably some seeds that could have been pre-planted. That might be why I keep saying it's already done. That's probably why I'm saying that. All right. We have the 3 of Cups. And then we have the Hierophant, called Wisdom. Card of Taurus, by the way. It makes me feel like a lot of you have been thinking about, your path. Who's on your path? Is the energy matching your energy? If these 2 fools, if they're 2 people, again, I feel the energy of you, where I feel like your spirituality, it just feels open. Doesn't mean there's not more to learn. I feel like we're always learning. There's always more to learn about our spirituality. And, it's exciting. At least I find it exciting. But again, it is like those whose morals do not align with yours. I feel like you are giving them the axe, so to speak. I just feel like you want to live, a peaceful, happy life. And anyone who wants to be a part of that has to want similar type energy. Again, it doesn't mean that they have to be exactly like me, but their ultimate goals and their morals, yeah, they do need to be aligned. Now, if we go back 1 card to the 3 of Cups, coming right under Temperance, it's the energy of joy, and it's a reason to celebrate. And then we go back 1 more card, we have mental conflict. That's the 2 of Swords. Could that potentially block an opportunity? It could, but it's mirroring the Hermit. So I feel like what it's saying is, during these periods of times when there's a little bit of uncertainty, call on your spirituality, call on your spiritual team. If you're uncertain, ask them to send you signs to help guide you. They will. Please trust me on that. They will. And then go back one card to partnerships and alliances. Well, that's a Three of Pentacles. And I just kind of love the way that they, they're not shaking hands like, hi, how do you do? It's like the holding of each other's arms. It feels much more intimate. Now, it can just be the perfect person to help you, like, with certain goals that you have in mind. It is the recognition of your individuality. And sometimes it is the energy of someone admiring you. But those words are unspoken, or at least at this point. I feel like my Pisces have grown up. I feel like you have been working on your spirituality, saying working on it, but let's just say learning more and more and more about it. And as you do, I feel like what it's doing is freeing you. It's like freeing your mind. And then these adventures that I feel like are just waiting. And temperance, like right in the middle right now. So, all about divine timing. Now, I know some people hate that. Like, what do you mean divine timing? When is divine timing? Well, when the timing is right. Because you can ask yourself, like, if this is something that is meant to be celebrated and bring you joy, is there anything of the past, or just say the recent past, that would be part of this? Kind of feels like not. Because I feel like that what you're doing is you're letting the past be in the past. Doesn't mean that you're not open, to really anything. All right, let's keep going. 3, 2, 3. We have emotional loss. This is the Five of Cups. Interesting because it's coming under sacrifice. And in the Five of Cups, you can't see it in this image, but you usually will see someone who is focusing on, the cups that have been knocked over. And the message of the card is asking you to ask yourself, where is your focus? Is your focus on the past? Because remember, it is a 5 and it's sitting right next to another 5. So 5 is always about change, but as graceful as possible. But in this change, there are 2 cups that sit behind this person. They're not aware of it. And it's interesting because I feel the sacrifice may have been a love, or maybe what I hoped would have been my ultimate love. And then we have suffering in silence, the Nine of Swords. So the Nine of Swords really speaks about unnecessary worry. Some of you may have dealt with some type of emotional loss, let's say. Someone may not have treated you right. Someone may have been more than happy to live in lower vibrational energy. Boy, I feel like I'm getting that message a lot for June. So it's really about us deciding, like, what type of energy do I want to live in? And if I want to live in, let's say, I want my spirituality to lead the way, well, then honesty comes with that also. So if I'm focusing on, again, someone I lost, but yet At the same time, out comes the Nine of Swords. Well, I'd rather you be looking for those two cups that I feel like, again, are going to be introduced in, I don't know, just a different way. Transformation on the bottom of the deck. This is the Death card, which makes complete sense, with the Fool being your very first card. This is the closing of a chapter, right? But it's always the promise, it's the closing of a door, but the promise of a new door opening. And it is something we have to learn to get used to. Chapters are meant to end. It doesn't always mean, like if we fall in love, like, okay, well, this love can only last for a chapter. No, some things can last for the rest of your life. But it's like getting there, it's the journey along the way. And I feel like your spirituality just feels intact. So this worry, unnecessary. It's almost like I may have called someone a soulmate, a twin flame, the love of my life. But did they show it back? Even just dealing with people in general. You remember your inner child is out. And I often feel like where you take the brunt of the hurt is in your inner child. So healing your inner child is not a one-time thing. But as you do that, you only grow stronger and stronger. Courage. All right, let's bring in the Gilded Tarot, though I do want to look underneath this. The waiting game. Okay, well, maybe you're not waiting anymore. Maybe somebody had you waiting. The death card really is asking you to ask yourself, what door do you feel that needs closed so that you can have, the best that's available to you and for you? It's like one doesn't fit with the other, right? One chapter has to close for the Fool then to enter. Because remember, that Fool was free and clear. Give him a cut. But we have two Fools here. Like, I noticed that. 22. All right. The Page of Pentacles over your intuition. Well, that makes perfect sense because to me, the Page of Pentacles is all about a learning experience, what I'm learning along the way. It can relate to your money, your schooling, and sometimes it can talk about things that you've put on the back burner because, you had to take care of other things. But this may be the perfect time for you. Again, what you've been learning is really how to trust your intuition. I like seeing that a lot. And to me, the Page of Pentacles is a very relaxed type energy. We have the Queen of Wands over both these Fools. We have the High Priestess over Temperance, where it says patience. So it's like your intuition is going to let you know when it's go time. And then look at this, the Seven of Pentacles over the Seven of Pentacles. And this is the image I was talking about. You see the similarities, by the way. Two Fools, two Seven of Pentacles. I keep saying it's already done. It's already done. It feels like predestined souls seeds of intention. Or let's just say 2 apples are now becoming ripe. Now, it doesn't have to just be love. It can be really everything. Like everything is feeling better. Everything is being illuminated. My creativity, my spirituality, but even predestined love. And, we can't rush it because if it's predestined, then it means it was meant to come at a certain time. Well, with 2 fools here, that certainly feels like the right time to me. Maybe it seems like it's been forever, but yet, it's reminding me of like the romance angels. It's worth the wait. However, I'm not telling you to wait for someone because under the death card, that's literally what you're doing. Like in this, it feels like well, I'll show you the image. 9 of Pentacles underneath that. So, it's a person just going round and round and round. Time, what's that saying? All of a sudden I'm thinking days of our lives. Like the hours. Oh, I can't think of the saying. But anyways, you know what I feel like, Pisces? I feel like if anybody's got you in what God says waiting game, well, they don't deserve you then. They don't deserve you. Now, we also see the 9 of Pentacles, material harvest. And I felt that on your tree of life. So this is successful self-employment. But this may be the right time to bring something out to the world also. Again, starting at the Fool's energy. But your greatest mentors are on the table. They're like here to help guide you to find this material harvest. This is a sense of independence. Again, this is your opposite sign. Some of you, this waiting game could be about something you wanted to bring to the world. I keep saying the world. Like I say that in all the readings, the world. It doesn't have to be like I'm presenting it to the world, but it's something that definitely you're interested in, something that you're probably knowledgeable about. But you're still going to be learning as you go. But you want to be learning as you go. All right. Have to say, I like what I see. I like what I feel. And that's the other thing that why I love doing readings is I can feel it. I can even feel the hardship. But I can also feel that's why I get excited because I can feel like the potential of what can be. But then, I gotta let go of control and hand it right back over to you. 77. Interesting, 77, 1977. I was 17. It was a great year. And I literally just said the same thing in, must have been Aquarius's reading. So some of you might be connected to an Aquarius. Some of you, 77 means something. We also have 33, 55. Page of Wands. Interesting. Two pages mirroring each other. Page of Pentacles, Page of Wands. Page of Wands, my little risk taker. Coming over sacrifice. You know, we do have the Queen of Wands. And by the way, I feel like you're all people in the reading, unless I'm feeling it differently. So if I feel it's not you, I'll tell you that. But I do feel this is you. You know, I feel like what this is saying is if you remember back in the day, you used to take chances. And maybe you're not taking chances any longer. You know, and why? Well, because not all the chances paid off, right? Sometimes you fall. But what the Page of Pentacles or the Page of Wands learns is how to get back up again. I fall down, but I get up again. Now, we have two pages, two Fools, two Seven of Pentacles. Two people on a similar path, no doubt. Four of Cups. Four of Cups talks about discontentment and boredom in one's emotional world. And it is mirroring the Five of Cups and the Nine of Swords. But look at what's coming in. A cup. Right from the hand of divine. Temperance. This is about learning to use your spiritual discernment. That's the meaning of the card. Well, over temperance is the High Priestess. This means this cup is coming in. Whether you accept it or not, it's up to you. I love this coming over the Three of Pentacles because it's the recognition of each other's soul. You know, that's what I feel in the Three of Pentacles. It's like your individuality and celebrating that. So, here comes the cup. We have the Knight of Swords just flipped itself around in the deck, right over mental conflict, which is the Two of Swords. You know, the Two of Swords I'm not going to flip out about. You know, it says mental conflict here, but sometimes it's just, you know, sometimes it's just natural fear. You know, like butterfly type of fear, not the type of fear that would stop you. But there's that adrenaline. Here comes that adrenaline rush. Some type of communication is heading your way. And as many of you have heard me say, I feel like the Knight will always complete their mission, come hell or high water. Accepted or not accepted, I'm still going to reach you. Those were the terms I agreed to. So I am going to reach you. Two of Wands. Beautiful. This is you saying yes. This is you. I mean, we started the Fool, right? Free and clear, willing to take that leap of faith. Two of Wands tells you the type of path you're walking down. Interesting, I feel a lot of signs are walking down this path. There's your adrenaline on this path. There's passion on this path. This path is certainly can be filled with love, but also desire for anything you want to do. Like, I feel like all is possible. Again, joy and celebration. The high priestess right above it. Um, and temperance also. So it's like communication. You say yes. Feels like it brings joy to your heart. And probably joy to who's ever communicating's heart. Nine of Swords over the Hierophant. Nine of Swords, Nine of Swords, 99, 55, 99. It's like two people are going through the same thing. Again, unnecessary worry. But you may say to yourself, um, love can be scary. When we give of ourselves, it can be scary. But yet, this is representing unnecessary worry. But I find it interesting because I feel like this is about working through that. Boy, I feel like you and someone else are very, very similar. You probably have very similar experiences. I just want to say for someone, I don't feel like this is for a lot, but I feel like there's someone who your heart might be set on someone who has got you in this waiting game. And then you meet someone else who I know is going to make you feel a certain way. And that may scare you because you may ask yourself, like, okay, well, if I go forward with this, then I'm closing the chapter to this. Yet I feel like that's exactly what needs to happen. But I can understand that worry of like, well, because Pisces, I feel like when you give yourself 100%. So splitting yourself between two people would be very hard. Not that it's impossible, but I'm not telling you to do that at all. I just feel like as something new comes in, there's going to be a few who then question, okay, well, that does mean that I do need to close that chapter. But what if I'm closing a chapter to my soulmate or my twin flame? Wow. That's the type of thing that temperance is saying, let us take care of that. Let's just say if it is a soulmate, then it's probably of a karmic nature. And I feel like in that case, then the lesson here with the waiting game is not to wait. Because, knowing your own worth. And if somebody can't see that, I'm not saying that we have to move things like quickly. I really believe we should do the opposite. Take it slow, give people an opportunity to reveal who they truly are. But man, if I feel like if you've been dealing with someone who, let's just say, comes into your life and then ghosts you, and then right when you're ready to move on, they come in again, that may be karmic. And it could be a soulmate. And the lesson, I feel like, well, Mother Mary self-respect, right? Boundaries that you are creating, but not impossible boundaries. It's as you yourself, because it looks like you are, what's the word I want to use? You're evolving. It's like you are reaching higher dimensions. And when we reach higher dimensions, those who are not, naturally, it fades away. It's our human part that pulls it back in again. You know, when you see the death card, it's clearly an ending of a chapter. It is a closing of a door. But it's a promise of a brand new door. You know, just don't ask me why I'm thinking about this right now. But something is telling me that I should start, I don't even know how I would do this, but like a dating site. Yet I don't feel like I'm really meant to do that. I feel like what it's saying is read each other's comments, because there's men and women in the comment section that are part of this channel. And we're all one big soul family. So, you know, it's interesting how I said where I felt some of you are going to meet someone in really the most unexpected of ways. Wow. Don't forget about the comment section. Strike up a conversation. I know that there are men who are looking for good women, and I know there are women who are looking for good men. I know that. I feel it when I do your readings. I see it in the comment section. And I know you can't read every single comment, but something is telling me, maybe for this reading, like, get to know each other. Interesting. Could I be that person that ultimately is introducing you to someone? Well, that would be awesome. All right, we have the Two of Pentacles. You know, I feel like what this is saying, instead of letting fear rule the day, use your logical mind. This has nothing to do with the card. They call this a juggler's card. But I'm not feeling that. I feel it's more, especially because it's coming over the Nine of Swords. Use that logical mind. You know, it is putting the ball in your court. This cup is coming in, come hell or high water. And then you are making a decision of yay or nay. Actually, it's two people making a decision, because each one of these fools may not even know about the other. By the way, when I call you a fool, that's a compliment. That means that you have learned not to carry the pain, the regret, and the anger of the past. That means that you're looking forward, you're open, you're ready to take a leap of faith. Doesn't mean on anything, especially with your greatest mentors here, like the guidance. Like it feels like if you take a wrong step, your guides will be right there to help put you right back. And again, it's already done. Okay. Well, look what just flipped itself around. The Tower. The Tower. It's almost like saying there is nothing to fear here but fear itself. You know what could come between this? Fear. the fear to take a chance. But the Tower to me is a great sign being in reversed, especially with these two Nine of Swords. I feel like that's also giving us an answer of something that can last for the rest of your life. You can avoid these towers, or there won't be towers. Okay? We have the Ten of Wands over mental conflict, and then we have the Hangman. Okay, so Ten of Wands. That speaks about a period of time. It's a 10. The Ten of Wands wants to end. I often feel in the Ten of Wands, someone's secretly wishing for a tower. This could be something that I'm having a hard time ending, so the tower does it for me. And then I'm like, what the hell? But it's really doing you a favor. So this is you carrying all the responsibility of something. But I also get the feeling that for some of you, this is groundwork that you've been laying. Hmm. It's like working towards a spiritual awakening, heading towards that. I feel like with all these wands, there's probably some that you can now put down. And I do feel like for some of you, it's like groundwork that you've been, you know, laying down, working on. And the four would represent, well, now it's the time. The rest of the action or the rest of this adventure is going to be learning as you go. But I feel like you have what it takes now to bring something to fruition. If someone is subconsciously wishing for a tower to help this door close, well, I feel like here it is. But it feels like it's very gentle, and that's why it's in reverse. Seven of Swords, under that Nine of Swords, and then the Three of Wands. Beautiful. Okay, so this is what is causing worry. So, Seven of Swords, it's called deception and envy. It's like the thief in the night. That's really what it's called, the thief in the night. This is untrustworthy energy. I often feel the person in here is a little liar. I feel like this is someone who doesn't want to face the consequences of their own truth. Therefore, I lie. But lie to me once, shame on me. Lie to me twice, shame on you. And I get it. Like, of course you don't want to repeat that. Of course you don't want to repeat that. But let's just say, again, if my focus is on the past, and I'm not going to say that it doesn't mean that there can't be past relationships that have another opportunity, because we do have two pages mirroring each other. So I won't leave that off the table. But it's not who's ever in the Seven of Swords. because it's mirroring justice. So that's what you're cutting ties to. And for some of you, that's what you've been waiting around for. Like someone who's just playing mind games with you. Yet I still get this sense of, if I really do close the door, am I closing the door on someone special? Well, are they treating you special? Because you deserve to be treated special. And if you're not, well, I have to leave that up to you. But I simply feel this is more about not wanting to repeat that type of energy. That's why starting at the Fool and the Two of Wands is good, because it gives you time, right? It doesn't have to move like speed lightning, and I feel if this is anything romantic, then I don't want to miss, the romance of the beginning of a relationship, those butterflies. Now, does that door have to be 100% closed? Because I'm getting a feeling that maybe not. Maybe this still comes in. And maybe that is the ultimate push to then close that door. There would definitely be a difference. Like you would know it pretty quickly, and I know that the person of the Seven of Swords probably in the beginning treated you well and what have you. I've been through this energy, and it's interesting. I was with someone for a year where they wore a complete mask until we ended up moving in together, and then the real person came out. And it was abusive, mentally, physically. It was hell. And I was still amazed at how long this person was able to hold back that true part of themselves. Because once it came out, it never stopped. Yeah, when I say the hermit, when you find that light within yourself that you can save yourself, that's literally what I had to do. There was no one coming in to save me. I had to save myself. But do you think now that if that type of energy came around me, I would recognize it? You're damn right I would. I was young and dumb then. So I'm only talking about it because I feel like someone will relate to that. But then look what we end up with, the Three of Wands. Energy of optimism. It really is believing that all is possible. But again, it's not even rushing it. We go from the Two of Wands to the Three of Wands. This is about living in the present moment. This is you saying to divine, I know my ships will come in, and I know they'll come in divine timing. Some people say, well, when is divine timing? Well, when you're ready, when you can take advantage of what feels like blessings. When you make that decision to not let the past affect your present nor your future. And I have to say, that really comes through reflection and clarity. Okay. But boy, there's a lot of synchronicities. So I feel like if this is love coming in, this is nothing like, this is not someone who would have you in the waiting game. No way. But you know what? I'm going to look at just this block. And let me also say, as you yourself raise your own vibration, which is exactly what it looks like as we opened your reading, then the universe will match that energy. It's like if I expect bad things to happen, what chances are then bad things happen? But what if I turn that around? What if I expect good things to happen? What if those are the intentions I put out there? All right, we have the Five of Wands, drama, fighting. Look at that, the Hierophant again. All these fives around here. And then, oh my God, another five. So, my God, Pisces, for some of you, again, this would be energy of someone who, let's just say, plays mind games with you. Boy, I hope you just put an end to it. Because I don't feel like it gets better. I feel like what it's showing is there's a lot of ego attached. There's definitely toxicity. And the Hierophant coming out again, unless it's a Taurus for you, we have two Hierophants. The Hierophant really wants you to question, like, again, your faith, your morals. And this person's not matching up to them. Now, we can get pulled into their energy. This is Five of Wands is filled with drama. And it's easy to get pulled into that energy, and it turns into what feels like toxic communication. I mean, it doesn't feel like it can be saved. Yet, at the same time, it doesn't feel like it's meant to be. Okay, well, I'm not going to question that anymore. All right, so let's look at, let's look at the Knight of Swords, where that is communication coming in. It's looking right at the Four of Wands, or the Four of Cups, where there is a cup coming in, coming over the Three of Pentacles, which is really the celebration of your individuality. That means that someone will love you for exactly who you are. If this is love. But again, Four of Cups is offering a cup. But this is like not having to wear a mask, like being exactly who you are. And I feel like that's something you probably learned along the way, right? Like, if someone's going to love me, they got to love me for who I am. Doesn't mean I don't have to try, It doesn't mean that I don't have to put effort in, but I don't want to pretend I'm someone that I'm not. I am who I am. And they are who they are. But it really is a celebration of that. Each being able to be exactly who they are. I have a feeling both these foals have learned a great deal. A great deal. And I feel like it is the hard times that really brought you maybe to your knees, but it is what really brought in the light for you at the same time. All right. Well, hello, Ace of Swords, and look at this, the Knight of Pentacles. Beautiful. So, the Ace of Swords to me, first of all, it's my yes card, but it's also, to me, truthful communication. So, what's ever spoken here is the truth. And then, how do I love that the Knight of Pentacles is the one ushering it in? Knight of Pentacles is the guardian angel energy. It's the angel or the the spirit guide that steps forward, who has, let's say, the most expertise in the subject. Or because I feel like there's a spirit guide going, no, but I know what's best for my daughter. So I feel like I have a mom talking to a daughter, who's helping to usher this in. Well, there is another way. So the Knight of Pentacles is also about patience, as is Temperance. But Knight of Pentacles tells you I come at the right time. So that to me is a sense of comfort. But even knowing that it is guided by your spiritual team, they would never guide something in that's going to hurt you. If anything, I feel like this is about good rewards coming your way. This is because it feels like you yourself, let's leave everybody out of the equation for a second. You yourself has had like if you haven't had a spiritual awakening, I feel like you're right there. The truth and a spiritual awakening go together. You know, like I hear a lot of people say, "Oh, I had a spiritual awakening," or yes, I've had my spiritual awakening," but then they believe in, let's just take the news, for example, lies that are so clearly lies. The truth is the truth is the truth. Nothing to fear here. There's so much divine energy that is helping you, but also helping another. Um, I'm going to leave that on the table for a second, and I'm just going to move over to Temperance, who's talking about divine timing, and then literally brings out the Two of Wands, which would mean now. Or should I say, like the willingness? Because the Two of Wands isn't a fear based energy. Anything. Maybe not. It's almost like Temperance is saying, I've already said what I needed to say. Okay, I believe you. All right, so I'm going to take my focus off of Temperance, and I'm going to put my focus on these two pages who are mirroring each other. And I just want to see if it's relating to the foals. So the two pages and the two folds, are they related to each other? I don't mean like as in family. I mean, are they on the same path? We have the Queen of Swords. Oh my God. The Knight of Cups, unexpected cup of fulfillment. And then, hello, the Knight of Wands, passion, adrenaline. Look at that. It's almost like it's saying, once you find your truth, and the rest will just follow. This Knight of Cups is unexpected. It's a cup of fulfillment. and then the passion that's connected to it. Now, it's interesting because every time I say in a reading, like, there's nothing wrong with taking it slow, and then the Knight of Wands comes out. Well, it's hard to take it slow in that energy because the passion will be undeniable. That's for sure. And I get this sense with this queen and all these beautiful white doves around her, which to me is a sense of purity and real truth, like knowing one's own truth. And it just feels like the right time now. So we're looking at these two pages. Let's just put it this way. They could certainly be of a past life. They could be two people. It's definitely you and someone else who have very similar experiences, even similar fears. That means that you probably both have gone through, let's just say, relationships that, you know, weren't that great. Anything else want to come out with these nights? It's go time. You know, when you see the Ace of Wands, it's passion ignited. It is the fire that begins it all. It does require your action. It's an action-oriented energy. But it is like heart chakras being activated. Six of Cups. Might be why I was looking at the two pages. Some of you, this could be someone you know. The Six of Cups represents someone like from back in the day. This is nostalgia. This is happy memories. Some of you could be moving back to a place, or someone may be moving back to where, because there's two fools and they're each starting on a new journey. It doesn't have to mean in all areas of their life, because it feels like with the Four of Cups here, what it's saying is the one place that maybe and I don't have complete fulfillment is my emotional house. Five of Cups. There's those two cups I was talking about. Right behind this person. Focuses on there. But this is what I really want. I just don't know it yet. And then the King of Swords. So, can be Gemini, Libra, Aquarius. But I find it interesting we have the Queen of Swords and the King of Swords. So forget about the signs. It's like-minded energy. Now, I don't know. Someone may, like, you may run across someone out of the blue, with someone that you already know, and you might strike up a conversation, and there could be real, like, you could start feeling butterflies, but yet I don't want to show it. Like I don't want to show it, but I feel it. And I have a feeling they would feel the same thing. Boy, I feel like someone may be going to like a school reunion. Interesting, like just the strange ways that I feel that you may connect. If nothing else, this Knight of Cups is meant to bring you, well, let's put it a different way. if you don't know who this is, if you're not one of the pages, then this can talk about the memories that you will be creating and the memories that will go down in history. I feel like it turns into this beautiful love story that even after we leave the earth, our children and our great grandchildren speak about. Even if we're a blended family, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. Again, it's already done. It's just how will it come together? I almost feel like I should title your reading that. It's already done. All right. Is there anything else I want to look at? I don't think so. So I think what I'm going to do is bring out the clarifying love situations. Let's give them a cut. I feel like one of the clues here is if this is talking about meeting someone that both of you are in the Fool's energy. And that doesn't mean that, like, I'm completely healed, like the past has zero effect on me. But this is you taking chances anyway. I definitely feel like your spirituality is intact. And I definitely feel like you're going to have the right mentors along this journey. And I feel like pay attention to the comment section. All right, let's take them the way they came out, because each way is a message on its own. So we have Faith's Haven. Believe in the safety of your return, as every journey leads back to comfort. Wow. Believe in the safety of your return, as every journey leads back to comfort. I've never gotten that one. We have liberated destiny. With release comes freedom, steering faith towards an unwritten future. And last but not least, playful innocence. Embrace a childish spirit where baby steps lead to joy, not seriousness. Joy, not seriousness. Playful innocence. Okay, let's bring out the romance angels. And then we'll let it be. Passion. Well, that's what the Ace of Wands represents. Passion being ignited. Allow your heart and soul to sing with joy. It's exactly the same message that I was going to say Mother Mary, that Temperance brought out, right? The energy of joy and celebrating it. Passion. Allow your heart to sing with joy. So even if you're a little fearful, enjoy the passion. Calling in your soulmate. Your prayers, affirmations, and visualizations help bring you together. Did you know that you were calling in your soulmate? Finances and career. financial issues are a factor in your love life. I don't know why, but it doesn't feel like it fits you. Now, it could for some of you. I feel like I may have someone who is like a workaholic. And when I say that, I feel like what you do does require a lot of your time. But I feel like there's a sense of needing balance between work and play. Because remember, this month is really calling for your inner child. Doesn't mean like slack off on your finances. I'm going to take one more, or whatever wants to come out. That reminds me of the Five of Pentacles. And I don't want to tie you and Aquarius together, but there are similarities, and I'll leave it at that. We have flirt. Extend your lighthearted energy to others. Again, inner child energy. Pay attention to the red flags. The red flags are cautioning you. Now, there's nowhere do I feel like there's red flags. I feel like this is your spiritual team telling you that that's what you can trust in. Like, if any energy comes towards you, because you being in that fool's energy, like, I feel very proud of you. So if any, let's just say, lower vibrational energy tries to come through your energetic field, the red flags will be everywhere. And the more you pay attention to your intuition, the easier it is to pick up on them. Like, I'm telling you, just how I was telling you about the relationship I was in, and if that type of person was to come into my life today, good luck, good luck, good luck, and goodbye. I would know it, I would feel it, I wouldn't even entertain it. That's how much I trust within our spiritual signs. I really do. That's how much I trust in our spiritual team. Like, if there's any warnings, they will let you know. Your intuition will sing. But this feels like, this may also be relating to this other foal, because I feel like calling in your soulmate. And even some may have given someone like the wrong, well, I'm going to say the wrong title, but what I feel that you're thinking is, if I completely let go of this person, am I really letting go of a soulmate? Well, I do feel like your answer is that the chances of that person being a karmic soulmate feel very great to me. Like I feel 99.9%. I just do. And karmic soulmates teach us a lot. And sometimes they teach us the hardest of lessons. But what it truly does help us revolve. If it brought us down to our knees, well, we found the light. But my friend, you're calling in your soulmate. It's like divine hears you. Again, it's already done. It's just now the timing of it. And this is not something that is like way out in the future. Do you have a say-so? You do have a say-so. You know, maybe the closing of that door opens up this new door. Or let me just say this. I feel like in this type of energy, it's just being open. So you're introduced to someone and maybe you have no intentions of like, romance, but you can't help but feel the passion. You can't help but feel something very familiar about them. Like this is a type of energy you won't be able to help but feel. Well, that is a big clue. It's a big clue. Because remember, this is talking about you being exactly who you are and being appreciated for that. Doesn't mean you're perfect. Nobody is perfect. Don't even try to be perfect, right? We're all imperfect. We're all a little bit broken. But yet, even like us together, us as a soul family, I feel like we help heal each other. So, you're calling in your soulmate, and your soulmate's arriving. And let me just say it one more time. It's already done. I love you, Pisces, so much. So much so that anybody treats you bad, I want to beat them up. Like, really. I want to beat them up. Like, if you were my best friend, I would beat them up. But I want you to know that. I want you to feel your worth. And it may call for you to use a little bit of your opposite sign, which I feel like is something we should become comfortable with. That's why for like a couple months I was doing opposites, and Virgo and Pisces are opposites. But listen, I am a Virgo. And I could definitely, like, I had to learn to use your empathetic, well, I don't know if empathetic, I mean, you are empathetic, but I had to learn how to allow myself to love freely, like you do. All right, I'm going to let that be. I love you guys. I thank you. My prayer for you is that you just allow the unexpected to happen. The fool is not putting any type of pressure on anything. Just like what adventure is waiting for me today. This really is about, again, the adventures that await, the adrenaline that your body is seeking, the water for nurturing, and knowing that if you put your intentions out there, but you put them out in an optimistic way, they're going to reach you, especially if you are ready. All right. I love you. I'll see you next time at our table. Bye bye.